I don't know how many of you guys have ever heard of The Breakfast Club. If you've ever heard a radio show or movie, it is on YouTube for the most part. I think they might be on terrestrial radio, I think, in a bunch of different markets through iHeartRadio, I believe, and in like the New York area, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's an actual radio show, yes. With Angela Yee, Charlemagne, and DJ Envy. But they recently brought DJAkademiks on there, and I don't really have an opinion about him, but they brought him on there. I am familiar with who he is, and that I know he kind of built his way up by way of YouTube into going into, like, I guess, like the terrestrial TV radio space, so to say. And they brought him on there. And I just thought this was interesting. I'm not saying anything negative about anybody. And one of the questions that they got to is like people tend to question him, like, what does he do for the community? What has he given back to the community as far as, and I don't necessarily feel like he owes anybody anything, just from a general standpoint. But they did ask the question, and I thought it was a decent question to ask a person, to at least give them an opportunity. If there's something you've done for the people that you use for content, which is essentially what a lot of us do, and I want y'all to also consider me in that space as well, because you can look at it and say, well, I'm using these stories and using these people and using these situations in order for me to have this podcast, which is true, right? We can agree to that. So if a person were to ask me, what do you do? What do you give back? What is your mission? What is your point of doing this? I can actually give you clear and concise answers to that, because I feel like it is important that as you're building, and if people help build you, you should help try to return that energy back into the, not society energy, back into the world, so to say. Maybe even back into, the same type of people that you're gaining your following from, getting your views from and stuff like that. I think it could be a good thing. And it's just one less thing that people can bug you about. But here's what bothered me, was the fact that when they hit him with the question, I don't think he's ever even been asked that. And I was like, as long as he's been doing his thing, 10 plus years, maybe longer than that, I'm thinking you've been asked this before. And the fact that y'all go back and watch it and tell me, maybe I'm wrong. He didn't have an answer for that question. When DJ Envy asked them, people on the social media space asked him, so Envy was asking on behalf of them, what do you do for the community? What do you give back? And he didn't really have an answer. He was just like, why give them a platform? And I was just kind of speechless. But no, I'm telling you what his answer was. His answer was that he gave them a platform to be heard, and that's how they were able to kind of grow. And I was like, okay. And I don't think you necessarily have to help any segment of people. I don't feel like you necessarily have to help blacks, whites, Mexicans, or whatever the case is. I don't feel like you have to help anybody in particular. But I just think that if you're getting something from whatever community you're getting it from, I think you could give something back, or at least present it and say, here's what they are getting from me. And just a platform, I just thought, I was like, wow. And maybe I'm looking at this wrong. But he basically said that the drill rappers basically are able to get the notoriety and views that they're getting now, and getting the looks that they're getting now that they weren't getting prior to him really shedding a light on those communities that produce that music. This is the part that bothered me, that maybe he didn't think about. And this could be subjective. I am a DJ and I don't necessarily play that segment of music. So I don't play drill music. I don't get booked for parties that ask me to play drill music, okay? I don't I don't think I ever have. And I'm not sure that I really want to do any parties where that's what they want to hear about: killing, shooting, robbing, putting holes in people's chest and making them wet all day. You know what I'm saying? Black on black crime that you don't want to call black on black crime, right? And I said, damn, if that's what you're going to tout, you're basically touting, in my opinion, the most destructive segment of music, the most hateful segment of music, and the most non-positive segment of music. Tell me if I said something that's right or wrong about that. Drill music, if you're not familiar with it, you could kind of consider that with some of these more rougher artists, I guess, maybe like I think Chicago really wants to claim credit for that, if I'm not mistaken. I do know that you have a lot of Florida artists that do music like that. You have a lot of Georgia artists that do music like that. And a lot of people are starting to make music like that. But I think it kind of originated from Chicago. A lot of that music is full of negativity. Am I wrong for saying that? I could be. Somebody said, I feel you. You're correct. You're absolutely amazing. Thank you. Said you're not wrong. You're correct. You're not wrong. King Louis 2011, Chicago is who started it. Okay. Thank you for the education. I didn't know that. Too much of that negative music out there. Here's why I brought that up. So if you're going to tout, look, I help these guys try to make a better life for themselves. Well, here's the reality of it. The reality of drill music, and this is just kind of the precursor before we start our stream, that particular kind of music, their subject matter, the people who they're talking about, the actions that they're talking about are degenerative. Yes? That's why I say it's the worst segment, because all it does is talks about disparaging people who look just like us. People can talk about other genres of music that might talk about murder and killing and all of that stuff. It's way more pervasive in rap. Trust me, I listen to all types of music. I don't go listening to pop songs talking about they shooting and killing each other and pulling up to their granny's house and setting it on fire. Huh? I don't listen to R&B. I know there are some R&B songs, but not a lot. Not a lot that are out talking about, I'm going to pull up on you and empty the clip and spin the block and come back around, right? I could be wrong, but I don't think it is. Last time I checked, I don't hear that going on with heavy metal, with country music. The majority of drill rap is completely negative, and it is what it is. My point for bringing that all up, because this comes back around to me. If that's the genre that you have basically pushed forward and made people recognize, oh, there's something here, and these people are now getting looks and they're making money, and I'm all about that. I'm glad they're making their money. I'm glad they're making their money. Making money is a good thing, especially in this world that all they want to do is just suck it out your rear end, right? In every shape, form, or fashion. But most of those people are not using that money and turning it into something positive. They're literally weaponizing themselves to go and do more stupid stuff. Right or wrong? Tell me if I'm right or wrong. But my point about bringing that up is when people ask me, what have we actually done? Guess what's the number one thing that I always say? I say, look at the Billy Simone Williams story with Takesha Williams and Billy Williams. Look at that story out of Stockton, California. That woman is literally sitting in jail because of our show, and we believe that she murdered Billy Simone Williams, that 7-year-old little girl that was innocent, and we believe that she was in the care of that woman quite a bit. A lot of times with the dad not being there, it probably stressed her out because that little girl probably looked a lot like her mom. And I know that that woman was very possessive, very demanding of her husband, and probably didn't like the fact that he had a child that was outside of her. And that's what this actually comes full story and brings us back around to why I do these podcasts. And I talk about these stories. Because I'm always trying to tell women, the majority of my audience, whether people talking about, you got white people to watch your show. I have a lot of women that watch my podcast, let alone, let's not pick a race. Women in general listen a lot, and that's the segment of people that I'm actually trying to reach. Because more times than none, the children are going to be in the possession of the custodial parents, which are usually the mothers. So with these children being in the hands of the mothers more times than none, that means that the mother is the one that has the power and has the choice whether to let a man that she's dating into these children's life or let them around these children, and these children end up being damaged more times than none by these boyfriends, especially because they like these bad boys that don't like to follow the rules, that are not law-abiding citizens. Y'all catch kind of where I'm going? So that same thing that is being promoted, the negativity, is the same thing I'm actually trying to kind of battle against, and hope that we'll just wake up and realize that a lot of the damage that's happening to us, we're doing to ourselves. And it's kind of an uphill battle. You got people that will come in that will just argue the stupidest things, rather than look at this and they'll look at like what I do and they'll say, well, Jay, you're making fun of these people. I don't look at it that way. Y'all want to know how I look at it? Real nice and simple. I don't look at people who hurt, murder, or abuse children the same as everybody else. Everybody catch that? I got to say that real nice and real smooth. People who hurt, murder, and abuse children, they're not like us. I don't want to call them human. I don't see them as human. And I'm definitely going to be demeaning to people who hurt the most innocent, those who can't speak for themselves, and those who cannot defend themselves. I think that's pretty simple. So if you look at it and you base it and you keep your focus on the children, we tend to not have those conversations. Oh, but Jay, you was making fun of her. She killed a baby. The hell with her.